Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. Today's video, I'm going to talk about the great calendar caper, the typewriter calendar caper. So a couple years ago, I was looking online and was really wanting kind of a colorful wall calendar for my office with typewriter pictures, and I came across this 2014 vintage typewriters calendar, which was really cool, and it's featuring typewriters from Casbah Mod, whatever that is. But this kind of gives you an idea of some of the pictures that we saw in this calendar, which I really enjoyed it. I had it up on my wall, obviously, in 2014. And then 2015 rolled around, and I looked online for another calendar like this, and I couldn't find one. I saw a few calendars where it was one picture and then it was all 12 months of the year on one page. But I wanted a calendar with separate pages for each month, separate pictures for each month. And so what I ended up doing was taking this old calendar, and I went on my computer, I opened up Outlook, I opened up the calendar on Outlook, and I printed all 12 months calendars on a laser printer. And then I taped those sheets to my to the old calendar. And then for 2016, I went again and looked for a really nice typewriter calendar, and I couldn't find one again. And so this time I did it a little bit better. I went into Excel and I created my own monthly calendar sheets with boxes and cells. So the cells are nicer and the words are bigger and everything. And I just printed them out on a laser printer and taped them to the old calendar. And the other thing I did with this 2014 calendar is it has the typical holes, you know, for suspending, hanging the calendar on the wall. And if you use a little nail or a brad, what starts to happen with this heavy calendar is it starts to break the holes through. So I ended up taking some thin cardboard and reinforcing all the holes and punching new holes in the cardboard. So basically what I ended up doing this year was creating a perpetual typewriter calendar where you could replace the months every year with new dates, but you'd still have the same pictures, and that was a problem. So one of the other problems with the calendar is the pictures that they did have, none of the typewriters I ever had, except I had a dingy kind of gray beige version of this Royal Futura 800. But so I didn't have any of these typewriters, so I couldn't really, I mean, it was fun to look at for a while, but the same pictures every year. So my wife, in her infinite wisdom, and I should learn to listen to her more often, she said, hey, you got all these typewriter pictures you put on your Flickr account and you put on your blog and you have on your computer. Why don't you make your own calendar? So I said, oh yeah, I could do that. So not knowing where best to do it, and just this being the first time I've done a calendar, I went to my local, actually I went to Staples online website, which is kind of a redundant statement because all websites are online. Anyways, I went to they have a calendar making website app. And so I went through my Flickr stream. I have an album in Flickr that has all my typewriter photos, and I went through and looked at all the ones and selected the ones I wanted for a calendar, but all of the images on Flickr that I put on there were low resolution, like 800 to 1,000 pixels on the long side. And for a good calendar, you kind of needed a little bit higher res pictures. So I had to take all those file names and look for the original files back on my old hard drive on my computer. And once I found them, some of the images were RAW files, and I had to reopen the RAW files and re-edit them and make them bigger. But anyways, so then I ordered the calendar, ordered one of them through Staples, and they gave me a shipping date and everything, and I got an email. And then I waited about 2 weeks and the calendar didn't come. Now this is somewhere in early December, maybe a couple weeks into December before Christmas. And of course, you know, the shipping and mailing is always a problem around this time of year. But so I went ahead and contacted them and asked them, hey, what's the deal on my calendar? because the tracking information on my email doesn't really give me a location where the thing is at. Well, it turns out they were using this thing where they use FedEx for part of the shipment, and then it gets to a certain point, and then they use the U.S. Postal Service. And because of those two shipping systems that don't talk to each other very well, you don't really get where the tracking is. So the lady was nice enough to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and reorder you a calendar, and it'll be sent out later this week. So later that week, I got my calendar finally in the mail, and this is the cover of the calendar. This was my Corona 4, which now is living a new life in Phoenix, Arizona. But all of these pictures are typewriters that I have or have owned at one time. They're all pictures I've taken with my own camera, and I'm really proud of it. And actually, the quality of paper is pretty good on this calendar. It's pretty heavy quality, and it's a nice size. And so I'm really happy with this calendar, right? A full-size wall calendar. So then a funny thing happened. About a week, or well, I'd say a week ago, the calendar that got lost in the mail showed up. And here it is, unopened, in a big cardboard package. So guess what? I don't need a second calendar, and so I'm giving the calendar away. So I was trying to think over the last few days, what would be a good way to give the calendar away? What would be a good inducement? I didn't want to really make it a promotional thing like a lot of giveaways are on YouTube. And since I don't monetize my channel, at least not yet, I didn't want to use it for simple, trying to get more clicks or subscriptions or whatever. I just thought I'd give it away to you guys. So I can't think of any reason or any inducement other than the first person to comment below that you want the calendar, I'll go ahead and give it to you. So you'll get the calendar. And so I'm sure there's going to be a few people at least that are going to ask for it. And since I can't give more than one calendar away, I'm going to give the first 10 people also, the first person gets the calendar, but the other 9 people get a copy of this. This is Loser's Blend by Joe Van Cleve. That's me. This is a collection of short stories that is sort of self-published on Blurb. And these are short stories that I wrote over the years that are themed around kind of a coffee shop culture. And let me read you a little bit from the introduction to this book. In the autumn of 2011, I found myself spending inordinate amounts of spare time in and around the environs of the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. One of my favorite haunts was, and remains, Winning Coffee, whose eclectic clientele and liberal-minded management seemed an ideal place within which to put pen to paper and begin creating this imaginary world of street artists, writers, and mavens centered on the imaginary Loser's Blend coffee shop and Bill, its main character. So this is a little collection of short stories that I started and collected. So I'm going to give 10 of these books away, and the first person also gets the calendar. So all you have to do, comment below, and I will give you my email address in the comment below, and all you have to do is email me, and I will give me your postal address, and I'll mail these out to you guys. So the first 10 commenters get this Loser's Blend collection of short stories. The first one gets the calendar also. Well, I hope this is fun for you guys. I really am doing this mainly to just thank you guys for being faithful viewers of this channel, and I appreciate your long distance fellowship via YouTube and the comments and the dialogue we have, and I hope we have a great 2017 together. And until next time, you guys have yourselves a great day.